All right, so let's get into it right away. There's two touchy subjects that I'm going to touch on today that I think are necessary. Um, so I'm going to start with the Boston Globe here. Suspect in Boston College manslaughter case told investigators she tried to stop boyfriend's suicide. So I'm going to give you some context after I read the article. This article does a pretty good job, but then I'll try to add a little more. Okay, so here we go. Alexander. Now, there are some Asian names here. Okay, so I'm just gonna go off. I'm gonna try to do first names, but the woman, her name is pretty difficult. So I may just say boyfriend and girlfriend. Okay. All right. So the boyfriend's family gathered Alexander Urtula. I think that's how you pronounce it. His family gathered at Alumni Stadium on the Boston College campus early on the morning of May 20th to watch the 22-year-old college receive his degree in biology. Alexander was bright, gregarious, and socially conscious and plans to become a doctor. But in recent months, he had become despondent and withdrawn. Law enforcement officials briefed on the investigation said Tuesday. Still, this was a day to be optimistic. And Alexander's parents, immigrants from the Philippines who lived in New Jersey, waited along with thousands of other families for their son to join the other graduates in the procession. Alexander was not among them. Instead, he was 4 miles away on top of the Renaissance parking garage near Ruggles Station in Roxbury. At 8:37 a.m., according to his death certificate, he jumped to his death. His girlfriend, I'm going to spell it, Inyung. That's her first name. So I'm going to guess In Young, I think, but I don't know. But I'm going to say his girlfriend, a Boston College junior who allegedly used her phone to track Alexander to the parking garage, later told authorities she tried to stop him, according to two law enforcement officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity because the girlfriend has yet to be arraigned. But officials said the girlfriend's statements were undermined by thousands of texts exchanged that revealed a toxic and tumultuous 18-month relationship. The girlfriend is a native of South Korea who grew up in Washington State, who has been indicted on involuntary manslaughter charges in Alexander's death, Suffolk District Attorney Rachel Rollins said Monday. Rollins said that the girlfriend, who is now living in South Korea, had complete control over Alexander, who had been struggling with depression and expressed suicidal thoughts in the months before his death. The girlfriend repeatedly told Alexander to kill himself and said she, his family, and the world would be better off without him, Rollins said. At Boston College, students expressed shock and sadness over the allegations, particularly those who knew Alexander and his girlfriend. Bin Lu, a junior, remembered, and I apologize if I butcher your name, remembered bonding quickly with Alexander over basketball when they met. Soon they were playing regular pickup games at the gym together. Lu, who was a pre-med student like Alexander, frequently sought advice from his friend who specialized in biochemistry. He really fits the model of being a leader and a mentor. He really encompasses the idea of wanting to look out for people that are going to come after him. I'm going to skip some more. But let me say this. This is going to be an unpopular opinion. You guys already know how I feel about suicide. You already know that ultimately the suicide lies at the feet of the individual who took their own life. Yes, you can be influenced. Yes, you can be words can be said to you, there can be threats made to you, but ultimately it is the person who does the action to end their life. Now, let me say this. When you have people, when you're in a relationship, here's what you have to understand. When you're in a relationship, you need to, I should say this, before you get into a relationship, you need to look for red flags. You need to look for things, okay, what can I put up with? What can I not put up with? What red flags do they have? And there are signs, you just have to pay attention. Okay? So I'm going to say this about Alexander. He decided to date this girl, and he was in a relationship with her for 1.5 years. And he had plenty of time to remove himself from the situation. He did. I said it. Now, is what she did okay? Absolutely not. It is horrible. It's horrendous. It's disgusting. It is sick. To say that, and I mean, so there were thousands of text messages that were seen, and it was just such a controlling relationship, and he refused to leave, which some of that falls on him. It does. It is just absolutely crazy to think about. So, text messages, they were found. The couple averaged more than 1,200 texts a day. A day. That's a different article. What are you doing texting anyone that much? And let me say this. Most of the messages came from the girlfriend. In Young Yu. I think that's how you pronounce it. 1,200 texts in a day. Or a day. That's what they averaged. No, the average person doesn't get that many notifications in a day. That's astoundingly bad. This is sick. And we talk about who should, people say, okay, she's to blame. She's an influence, absolutely. She's a tremendous influence on him. But it's just horrendous. If you see some of the text messages that she sent, it's like, dear God. You just, here's what you have to understand. This was done by someone who mentally was unwell. For whatever the reason, I don't know if this was I don't know if his mental state was only caused by his girlfriend or what, but, this young man was very, very sick in the head. He needed help. He needed to get this out, and he pretty much told the wrong person. He probably told the worst possible person he could have. And it's a shame. Because when you're going through in life and you're going through a hard time, there are certain people that you would want to be able to turn to. One of those is your significant other. If you can't turn to them, when someone tells you, let me say this. in case you don't understand, just something very simple. I'm going to say this. If you have someone in your life that tells you to kill yourself and that everything would be better if you were gone, and they consistently and persistently tell you that, that is not someone you want in your life. That is someone you run from, you don't talk to again, you stay away from them, and that is it. What she did is horrendous. I looked up some statistics on suicide, and these are mostly 2015 and 2017 stats, but they are really amazing. Okay, so this is from AFSP.org, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Okay, suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. In 2017, 47,173 Americans died by suicide. In 2017, there was an estimated 1,400,000 suicide attempts. In 2015, suicide and self-injury cost the U.S. $69 billion. Now here's something that, you need to know. So, men struggle with, I should say this. Women have more suicidal thoughts and actions, but men are more successful when it comes to actual suicide attempts. Because what men do, men will use violence to commit suicide. So gunshot, knife, hanging, things like that. Women will use drugs and, they'll try to overdose. And so you have that, and that's a huge issue. So in 2017, men died by suicide 3.54 times more often than women. And here's something that's really interesting. So almost 70%, 69.67% of suicide deaths in 2017 were white males. That was amazing. I mean, I knew before I looked this stuff up, I knew that, whites did it more often. But I mean, 70%. That is huge. I mean, what a discrepancy that is amongst other demographics. On average, there are 129 suicides per day. And as you guys already know, firearms accounted for 50.57% of all suicide deaths in 2017. That's one thing people talk about with gun violence. They'll try to conflate those figures with, people who get shot up in homicides and things like that. Most gun violence, and this is all I'm going to say about gun violence. Most gun violence is related. Most gun deaths are suicide. That's just a fact, okay? So it's a mental problem. Now, here's something that's, pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. But the highest suicide rate was 20.2, and it was among adults between 45 and 54 years of age. The second highest rate was 20.1, and that was of those 85 years or older, which is very interesting to me. But the 40 between 45 and 54 years, that kind of makes sense because that's usually when the midlife crisis hits in men. Because they're like, okay, I'm not young, so I'm not that stallion that I used to be. What am I now? Like, what am I? My body's not quite looking the same. I can't quite do the things that I used to do. And, we're like, and ladies, okay, so as you guys know, most of my audience, is male. But ladies, let me tell you something about guys. We have fragile egos. We do. And if something hits us where we're like, man, we don't know what to do. or we feel like we get shut down, that really does something to us. It really does. But, whites, so suicide rates by ethnicity from 2000 to 2017, it's rising among I should say this. The overall trend of suicide is rising. Okay, so whites, it's, let's see, whites is 15.85, 15.85, and then American Indians and Alaska Natives is 13.42, and then for blacks, it's 6.61, and then Asian Pacific Islanders is 6.59. All right. So, I'm going to say this, man. I just, first of all, she's in South Korea. So it's, there's a lot of logistical stuff that needs to be taken care of, because as for the United States, we have to actually get custody of her, and it's complicated because I think she was a transfer student. So we do have to deal with that. But I'm going to say this, man. I'm going to say this, if you are in a relationship and this person is not doing anything beneficial to you, is not doing anything beneficial for you. A relationship is give and take. Okay, a relationship is like this. You come to the table, it's like, think of it as a table. You come to the table, you have your history, you have your assets, you have your liabilities, you have your personality, you have your skills. You pretty much set that on the table. Okay, and then the other person comes to the other side of the table and they put their stuff on the table, and you're like, okay, so this is what we're working with. So I have this, you have this. All right. How will we benefit from this relationship? First of all, the question is, how will I benefit personally? How will you benefit personally? And then collectively, how will we benefit? Are there going to be more pros and cons? And there are just certain signs that you should have that you shouldn't do. And if you find yourself in a relationship, it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could just be a friend, an acquaintance, a parent, a teacher. It could be anyone in your social circle where you need to know, okay, is this relationship, worth it? Is this worth investing into? Or do I need to remove myself from the situation? In this case, you have to remove yourself from the situation, because if you are mentally struggling, you can't be in a relationship, especially with your significant other. You can't be in a relationship with this person and say, man, I'm really struggling. I'm having these thoughts, and sometimes I think about suicide. Sometimes I want to act out on it, and I waver with that, and and you tell that information to someone, and the person looks at you or replies, do it, because things are just going to be better off without you. Don't be in that relationship. This may sound rough, but it's true. A lot of the fault lies at the feet of Alexander. You're in a relationship with this girl for 18 months. That is a long time to be with someone. I mean, you learn a lot about them. So, that's what you got to do, man. You just can't do that to yourself. So that's really it for this. Just take stock of your relationships. See where you are. What's working, what's not working. If you have someone in your life where you're benefiting, it's going well, they're lifting you up, they're helping you, they are helping to improve you, that's a relationship you need to stay in. But if you have someone who's bringing you down and tearing you down all the time and is controlling you, you need to get out of that relationship. I can't even imagine my phone getting 1,200 text messages a day from the same individual. That is horrible. Okay, so that's really that. I don't have too much else to say about that topic. I know it sounded rough, but it's true. You can't put this whole thing on the girlfriend. You can't do that because that's not the case. She was a big influence, but ultimately he's the one that took his life, and he failed to remove himself from the situation, and he failed to get the help that he needed. Okay, now, here we go. This is from NBCnews.com. Body camera footage shows San Bernardino officer fatally shoot man with hands in the air. Now I'm going to say this, man. If you saw the video, this wasn't recent. This is a year old. The video was released yesterday. But I mean, my God, this is not a good look for law enforcement. And as you guys know, I love law enforcement. They are important. They are crucial. The sacrifices that they make, man, it's just. I believe law enforcement should have a holiday. I believe there should be a national holiday specifically for law enforcement. If not first responders, there should be a national holiday. But that's just me. Okay? But this right here is not a good look. My God. I'm gonna talk about police shootings here, and I'm gonna give some statistics. And my God, I hate talking about this, because what happens is negativity and negative images tend to stick in people's minds more than positive images. Negativity just sticks out like a sore thumb. So this right here, this is a really bad look. Now, I do have some criticisms on the guy they shot. I do. Okay. Here's the article. A San Bernardino, California police officer is off the force more than a year after he fatally shot a man who was walking toward officers with his hands in the air after he obeyed commands to put down a gun he was holding. The San Bernardino Police Department released police body camera footage, audio of 911 calls, and information regarding the September 28, 2018 shooting that led to the death of Richard John Sanchez. In the video released Friday, it was released Friday. Acting Chief of Police Eric McBride said that Brandon Gaddy, the officer who fired the fatal shots, no longer works for the department following an internal investigation. McBride said the review determined Gaddy's decision-making did not meet the standards held by our department or the community we serve, and disciplinary action has been initiated, but he did not say whether the officer had been fired or had resigned. The San Bernardino District Attorney's Office, which did not immediately respond to a request for comment, is now investigating the shooting to determine whether or not Gaddy's actions were lawful. Gaddy and another officer responded to a home in the Highlands neighborhood of San Bernardino after 10 p.m. September 28th. Remember, this is last year. This is not 2019. This is 2018. When a woman called 911 saying Sanchez was intoxicated and threatening family members, McBride said. She called back minutes later to report Sanchez was armed and she had escaped the home with children, but Sanchez was still threatening others in the home. Family members and witnesses described Sanchez as intoxicated and making irrational statements, such as he had everybody under his control because he was God. Now, I do know crazy people like this. When they get drunk or high or cross-faded, I do know people like this where they just make some statements where it's like, oh, wow, this person is gone mentally. Okay. The dispatcher quickly determined that there was a warrant out for Sanchez's arrest and informed the responding officers Sanchez had made terrorist threats during a domestic dispute while he was armed with a handgun months earlier, McBride said. So this is clearly a crazy person. He was a crazy person. Body camera video shows that when the officers arrived, the front door was open, which you can see, and Sanchez was standing in the entryway holding a gun. Police ordered Sanchez to put the gun down, which he does, not immediately. He does just hesitate. What he does, the officers say, put the gun down. Put the gun down. He understands them. He understands English. And he's holding the gun and he's still inside the house, mind you. He's still inside the house, just holding the gun, looking at the officers. And it's like, and he just stands there like, kinda, okay, what are you really gonna do? Or, okay, should I shoot him? He was just really thinking it through, and he wasn't immediately obeying orders. He did eventually put the gun down. Okay. So he places it, but after turning it around to face the officers, he places the gun on the arm of the couch. Then Sanchez, suddenly and without being told to do so, starts to walk towards the officers, McBride said, and the video shows. He takes 8 steps as the officers order him to put his hands up. He does, but he also keeps walking toward them. Gaddy then shoots at Sanchez 5 times. Sanchez is seen falling to the ground on the front lawn. The officers called for medics, but Sanchez died. And by the way, I encourage you to watch the video so you can envision what I'm describing here. But the shots were point blank. I mean, he wasn't going to miss. So it was like 5 shots, like direct hits. Okay. So it wasn't like, 20 feet away. No, it was feet away. It was maybe, I would estimate 5, 6, 7 feet away. I mean, you just weren't going to miss. So it was 5 direct shots. A Smith & Wesson .40 caliber handgun was recovered at the scene, according to police. The officer who was with Gaddy at the time shooting is still on the job, McBride said. Each encounter is unique and requires officers to make split-second decisions without the benefit of 20/20 hindsight, he added. However, despite the challenges faced by the officers, we want to reassure the community that we will not compromise our standards and will continually strive to provide the best possible service to all residents. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of the article. Now let's talk 2018 police shootings. Fatal police shootings, okay? So this is from the Washington Post. They have I highly recommend you guys use this. But you can look up fatal police shootings Washington Post, and it has like this great graphic that you can use, and it breaks it down in many different ways. It's a great database. I encourage you to use it. Okay, so there were 992 people who were shot and killed by police in 2018. Okay? So, now I'm going to go by gender. So, 939 were male, 52 were female, 1 isn't known. Okay? Race. Here's something interesting. Whites were 452, blacks 229, Hispanic 164, other 40, unknown 107. So let's just do this. Let's just do this. Let's say the unknown are indeed all black. All right. So let's do some quick math here. So 229 plus 107. Okay, so that's 336. So 452 minus 336 is 116. So even if all of the unknown are indeed black, there are still more whites that were killed by police. People tend to think, and this is a big problem that I have with, the Black Lives Matter movement. People say, oh, they shot him because they were black. That is stupid. That is very, very, very stupid. Statistically, it's stupid. Okay? It's not true that police just shoot people because they're black. Police are actually more hesitant to shoot a black individual because it's like they think, okay, this isn't a good look. This may look like a racial thing here. They are more hesitant to shoot a black suspect than a white suspect. 2019. Now, obviously, we're still in 2019, but here we go. So far, and this was updated on October 29th of this year. There have been 753 people that have been shot and killed by police. Okay, gender. Male, 715 to 36 females. Race, 220, black, 150, Hispanic, 123, other 26, unknown, 234. Okay, and here's what you have to understand. Most of these shootings involve weapons, or the suspect has weapons. So, I'm going to say this. Law enforcement, I still love you, but this is just collectively not a good look. One, unfortunately, a little leavens the whole lump. And people will look at this and just be like, yep, see, they're racist. They killed a Mexican guy. But I gotta say this, man. When the police tell you to do something, don't do anything other than what they're telling you to do. Do what they say. And if you feel that you've been disrespected, get a badge number, get the name, and then go about your business and then handle that part later. But at that moment, do what they say. Because let me tell you something. And here's what people think, that, cops are trigger happy. They just want to use their guns. And maybe you could make a case for that. But let me tell you something. Cops put a lot on the line every single day. They go out and they don't know if they're ever going to see their wife or husband and children again, or their family or their friends. They go out and they go into the line of duty to keep us safe and to keep order where we live, to help keep order where we live. They are trying to have their day be incident free. Obvious, and they're going to have different things every single day. They deal with different types of people. You have crackheads. You have, from crackheads to, traffic tickets, to domestic disputes, to someone asking for directions. They deal with so many things. They're not trying to just be like, you know what, my goal is to kill someone today. That's not their mentality. It isn't. It's absolutely disgusting when people just pin that on them, because it's not true. They do so much for us. So if you seriously have this idea that there are people out there, that there are cops out, that most cops are just out there and that they're just waiting to use their gun. That's not true. I will say this. Just as in any occupation, you have bad apples. You have bad people. There are some where it's, and you're never going to get rid of it. When there are humans involved, you're going to have people who are just like, you know what? This very, very small the very, 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 very small minority is going to be like, okay, you know what? They're going to make a bad decision. And also keep that in mind. They have to make split-second decisions. They do, and it's hard. I mean, I don't know if a study has been done. Maybe there has been. But what I would want to see is I would want to see 1,000 people put through a challenge or just a simulation, I should say. And they are given a fake gun and they have it on them, and you put them in a situation. It could be with, real people or, actors. Well, obviously actors and not, just regular people that you would just, whatever. But you put them in a situation where you say, okay, what do you do? Put these people in a situation and let's see what happens. Let's see how many times they pull their gun. Let's just see how many times they pull their gun. I would say most people pull their gun. Why? Because at the end of the day, if you feel that there's a threat, and it can be any kind of threat. When you feel that there is a threat, you react as if there's a threat. It's just that simple. You'll feel something, you'll be like, oh, yep, no, back up. And you may just shoot, you'll just be like, you know what? And here's the thing. We have that, that animal within us where we're like, okay, in the heat of battle and whatever it is, at the end of the day, it's you or me. I'm going to choose me every single time. So this is temporarily not a good look on police. Visibly, I'm just going to say this. I don't know all the technicalities and the exact rules and regulations, but I'm just going to say this. Visibly, he made the wrong decision to shoot. That's what I'm going to say. Okay, so take it how you like it. You guys know that I still love law enforcement. They're amazing, and I'm going to say this again. I sincerely believe that they should have a national holiday. I do believe police and first responders, from firefighters, paramedics, all those people, they should have a holiday because they do so much all the time and they don't really get thanked enough. They don't. I mean, they do this stuff for a living. I don't know, but I would, in my lifetime, I would like to see them get a national holiday. Hopefully it happens. Okay. Last thing. This is from the Western Journal. Kamala Harris blames campaign struggles on America, suggests race and gender holding her back. This is by Bradley Evans. It was published October 29th of this year. As California Senator Kamala Harris poll numbers continue to falter, the Democratic presidential candidate is getting up a new explanation for her flagging campaign. In an interview with Axios on HBO posted on YouTube on Sunday, Harris questioned whether America is ready for a woman and a woman of color to be president of the United States. The senator called the issue of her electability the elephant in the room for her campaign. There is a lack of ability or difficulty in imagining someone who we have never seen can do a job that has been done 45 times by someone who is not that person, she said. I'm going to say this. Right there, she makes a point. Because if there's a specific type of person that does something, you just naturally have a certain image in your head. Okay, so there she has a point. But, right here, Harris rejected the argument that America is necessarily ready for a black woman to be president after electing Barack Obama to office in 2008 and again in 2012. America was ready for a black man to be president of the United States, Harris's interviewer pointed out. She replied by claiming that Obama faced a similar challenge. This conversation happened for him, the senator said. Harris defended her assertion with a story of her time campaigning for Obama before the Iowa caucuses. She said she was asked to visit a senior African American residential home in a last-minute effort to secure more votes for Obama. Harris said she was greeted at the door by an elderly woman who told her they're not going to let him win. Obama, of course, not only won the Democratic primary, but the presidency as well. The California Democrat concluded her story with an implicit comparison to her own campaign. I say all of this to you. I'm aware of the challenges, she said. The reaction to her comments wasn't positive. Okay, so... Oh, this tweet is beautiful. This tweet is beautiful. Okay, so here's what Axios tweeted. Discussing her campaign with Axios on HBO, Kamala Harris says electability is the elephant in the room, questioning whether America is ready for a woman and a woman of color to be president. And then someone named Pat Cat replied, as a woman, I'm ready for a woman, but not one that acts like a 16-year-old girl like Kamala. She's too immature and not particularly bright either. I agree. I don't think she's that smart. Okay. This guy, Paul, hashtag I stand with Ilhan again. This I find to be interesting. We are ready. Period. You, however, are not her. That I find to be comical. And then there's another guy, Eric, or maybe she's not a good candidate and people don't like her ideas and record. I know it's a wild theory. He's spot on. He is spot on. You know, people talk about this whole idea, you know, of intersectionality, and they see, here's what intersectionality does. All it does, it takes away blame. I should say it takes away responsibility, and you can just point the finger at something else that's, you know, out of your control. It's like, oh, you're only doing this to me because I'm a woman and I'm black. So now I'm doubly oppressed. But say you have, okay, a black woman who's lesbian. Okay, now you're 3 times oppressed. Oh yeah, there you go. And it just grows from there, and you just have these ridiculous claims like this. Now I'm gonna pull up a poll right here. This is from 538.com. This is from this year. Okay. July 15th of 2019. Americans say they would vote for a woman, but... Okay. Here we go. So, well, let me read the first paragraph before I continue. A record number of women are running for president in 2020, and now 2 women look like serious contenders for both the presidential nomination. Warren and Harris, both of whom rose in the polls after strong performances in the first Democratic debate. Now, I remember that debate. Kamala came out firing at Joe, and that's where she started, to catch some fire. In a good way, I should say. And it was like, oh, she's aggressive, she's going for it. But what happened is, Kamala, she can attack. When she is on the receiving end, she's clueless. She's clueless. She doesn't know what to do. And it's a hard thing. That's why, you always see her, she's always like, she kind of has that dog in her to go at someone. But, the question is always, okay, you can dish it. Can you receive it? Because it's not just going to be one way. Okay, I attack. Something is going to come my direction. Okay, back to the article. Joe Biden is still in the lead, but Warren and Harris may be starting to chip away at one of the central conceits of the 2020 race so far. Mind you, this was back in July when this article came out. Okay, the idea that Biden has the best shot at defeating President Trump. Currently, I gotta say Sanders is gonna get the nomination. I think if they were to have it today, I believe Sanders would get it. Because Biden's campaign is burning through cash. I feel like he's not even trying to win. I don't know what he's doing. His strategy is very questionable. Okay. But now here we go. For months now, voters have told reporters that they want to elect a woman. But after Hillary Clinton's loss in 2016, they simply can't imagine a woman winning against Trump. And this calculus is often justified by beliefs about other people's sexism. An Ipsos Daily Beast poll in June, for example, found that only 33% of Democrats and independents said they believe that their neighbors would be comfortable with a female president. But the performance of Warren and Harris in the first debate may have allowed some of those voters to envision a path to victory for these candidates for the first time. Okay, so here we go. Americans still say they will vote for a woman, but they are still influenced by stereotypes. These days, it's hard to find voters who openly admit that they're reluctant to support a woman for president. Only 13% of Americans believe that men are better suited for politics than women. Okay, so that's interesting. And listen to this right here. And a Gallup poll conducted in May found that 94% of Americans say they would vote for a woman for president. Kamala, throw out your intersectionality here. Just get rid of it. Kamala, people don't want you as president. See, it's always easier to blame other stuff. I mean, people just don't like your ideas. It's just that simple, man. That's what it comes down to. That's ultimately what it comes down to. People when they vote, and remember, most people are moderates. And so people are thinking, okay, first of all, who is going to affect me? Whose policies are going to affect me the most? Because politics are personal. People always want to see, okay, number one, how will this affect me? Okay, that's natural. Okay, and if your ideas, if people don't like your ideas because they feel like, okay, you're going to affect me negatively, the work I do, you're going to affect that negatively, what I believe, you go against. Kamala, it's very simple. People just don't want you. People don't want you to be in the Oval Office. That is just that simple. Stop blaming yourself being black. Stop blaming it on being a woman. Now, I have said this before on my podcast. I can't remember what episode it was, but I'm going to say this. If you want to, here's my thing. Between a man and a woman, I will say this. I would prefer, let me say this overall. Overall, I want the best person to do the job. That's what I want. I want competence. I want someone who I believe can do the best job. That's ultimately what I care about. I don't care about your race. I don't care about that. When it comes to gender, and if you take a man and a woman, and I'm like, okay, if everything is the same between the man and the woman, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to choose the man. Why? Because in the political world, It is a fight. And most people in politics are men. So men are just, in the world of politics, men are just more respected. So if you have a woman at the top and you say, okay, represent us, you're going to go to other nations and then the other guys will be like, oh yeah, it's her. Yeah. Not saying that they're sexist, but they're just like, this is a sector that is dominated by men because men are just more rational than women. There, I said it. You may not like what I just said, but men are just more rational than women. Men tend to think things through more. Men are problem solvers. We look at things, we see a situation, we're like, okay, how do we fix it? What's the solution? Women tend to talk about their feelings more, which it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But when it comes to politics, feelings isn't it. It's, okay, there's a problem. How do we fix it? That's what matters. Oh, I feel this way. Oh, you have these long, drawn out talks. Women just tend to talk more, and men are like, no, we don't speak nearly as many words as women. And we're just like, okay, how do we fix it? Ultimately, that's what we care about. We're problem solvers by nature. So, she's cool. Good for Kamala. I don't know what her political career holds, but I'm going to say this, man. Look, let me say this. When you want to run for office, find out what people care about. Find out what is important to them. Find out what most people believe. And, if you are just trying to get in, go with that. Don't go on these garbage ideas of, open borders, because people don't want that. There is no country ever that has just wanted open borders. That is a stupid, that is just a stupid idea. Okay, Medicare for all. No, we don't want that. We don't like that. We think that's a bad idea. We just stop with the intersectionality, man, and have good ideas, have good politics, present yourself out there, be able to go on the attack, on the defense, be honest with the voter, or even if not that, just make it feel like you're honest to the voter. Because here's the thing, I noticed that when Trump talks, when he talks, you feel like he's telling you the truth. Because he pretty much just says whatever he says, or whatever he thinks, he's gonna throw it out there. So you just feel, it feels genuine when he talks. You may not like what he says, but it's like, okay, you know what? I know what you're trying to do. I know what you want to do. But when you're back and forth and you flip flop and you're like, well, if you're asked a question, okay, if it's like this, here's a problem that most candidates have. At the recent debate, there was a question, okay, will your plan raise taxes? And, Elizabeth Warren was like, well, as a candidate, I believe. And that's not what people want. People just want to know yes or no. What's going to happen? Don't put me on this rocking ship where I'm uncertain what's going to happen. It's like, okay, put me on a steady ship. And so at least let me know where we're going. People don't like uncertainty. People don't like it. They would rather know and brace for the bad than just be unsure and just whatever happens. They don't want that. People want to know. If you want to win, be honest, be upfront, find out what people care about. Man, I'm just so sick of this. Personally, Kamala, I'll give this to Kamala, and then I'm done. Kamala has made it farther than I thought she would. I thought she would have dropped out by now. Personally, today is the 30th, okay? Do I think she can make it into 2020? January 1, 2020. Do I think she'll make it in? No, I don't, because people just aren't supporting her. At some point, you have to look at it this way. You know, you just have to look at the numbers and you're like, you know what? It's not looking good. We're not going to win this. People simply don't want me. Because in politics, it's very easy. Those who are desired, those who have a chance, quickly separate themselves. Kamala looked good in the beginning, and then she fell. Here's the thing. Once you noticeably fall, you're done. You're out. Just bow out and be done. But what a lot of politicians do, and I know I said I would be done, but I'm not, obviously. What a lot of politicians do is they look at something and they're like, okay, well, you know what? I'm pretty much out of the election. I have no chance of winning this. But let me campaign so I can just get this cash and run. Politicians do that. And I personally believe that's what Kamala's doing. She knows she's done. She knows people aren't interested, and that's that. So that's really it. That's really it. But, don't stop blaming stuff on stop blaming your failures on on people discriminating against a black woman. That's garbage. Stop blaming other people for your problems. If you want to succeed in life, you have to take ownership of your successes and your failures. That's how it works. See, it's amazing. It's amazing. Not just politicians, but people, and I said this in my op-ed on reparations, something that my dad told me one time in my childhood. It was probably the most profound thing he's ever told me. Ever. And pretty much, I don't have the exact quote, but it's okay. People, when they take pride and they take credit for their own successes, but when it comes to their failures, it's always some other source. It's always someone else's problem. It's always something else. With Kamala here, it's like, it's these people who, they don't want a woman. They don't want someone who's black, and they definitely don't want a black woman, so that's why I'm failing. Take responsibility for your life. See what happens.